in case you regretted paying too much for number 41 Wonder Woman, now you don't have to regret anymore because that's her
Yeah,
FA year. So it makes it even more special.
exactly. I believe 100% agree with you. And it's interesting that you said that because the same thing happened when I bought Dumbo. And I forgot, someone told me that 41 was the year that Dumbo came out as well, the Dumbo year, 1941.
That was me.
That was, yeah, Mr. There you go, Mr. V. Yeah, yeah. And it's like,
Yeah,
so
1941. Yep.
Yeah, so it's like I'm learning these things. I'm man, that's so cool. I wasn't expecting that, so it ends up being like it's like a present for me or a gift.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the VeVe Vintage Podcast. Our guest today has one of the craziest low mint collection I've ever seen. It is so crazy, I had to write down. He has over 60 public mint 41, so 60 mint 41, which is the first public mint available on VeVe. He also has the first public mint of Thor Collectible and Thor Comic, first and last public mint of Ant-Man Comics. He has mint 41 Wonder Woman and mint 41 Dumbo, which 1941 is the founding year for those two characters. Over 3,000 NFTs on VeVe, and he also turned $90,000 to over $400,000 from flipping Cryptopunks and Bored Apes. I guarantee you will enjoy our conversation with Mr. 41. Let's get to it. Mr. V, you look dressed up today. Usually with Mr. 41, usually this guy would be wearing just a regular, pretty lame looking t-shirt, but he's rocking a long sleeve button-up shirt today.
Oh man, like, you got a hot date night with a wife, right?
No, man, embarrassingly, I gotta do some laundry.
Oh,
Yeah,
you got the nicer outfits and the dirty clothes with the nicer outfits, right?
exactly.
Mr. 41, welcome to the VeVe Vintage Podcast. We are super excited to have you here today. Can I tell you a quick story?
Oh, sure, of course.
All right. So since I started the YouTube channel and since I and Mr. V started this podcast, I've always been the person who reach out and invite people on to these interviews. But then I only know so many people, and many of the major collectors and whales like you are super low key. It's not easy to find you guys because I'm not in these like specimen collector circles or these whale circle. So I know you do Twitter spaces, but I don't because I work on these videos and I work on the podcast. So then I asked Mr. V, I said, hey, can you tap into your specimen collector circle to see if anybody will be interested in coming on? And he's like, oh, I have 40 people in my group. And I was so happy. And he's like, yeah, let me go look. And then he came back like 2 days later and he was like, hey, I know this guy, Mr. 41. He has a crazy collection. What do you think about him? And I was like, 41. And then I did my research. And then the moment that I opened the app, I found you with the number 41 Lamborghini, the red one. When I saw your collection, I was like, oh my God. It was like pure joy and excitement because as I started scrolling to your collection, I've never seen that many first public mints before. So you have over 60 mint 41, which is wild. That few minutes of seeing your collection, I was like, hey, we have to get this guy on. So thank you so much for being here. You have the FA tag of being Mr. V's first guest.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me on too. It's a pleasure to be talking to you guys today.
Right on. So, Mr. 41. So you and I are kind of familiar with each other, but I think it'd be cool to be able to let our audience know a little bit about you and maybe how the name Mr. 41 came about.
Sounds good. Yeah. So a little bit about me is I got into the space a few years back. I got into crypto first and foremost, and then just fell down that Web3 rabbit hole. And from there, I got into NFTs. I first heard about and saw Cryptopunks when they were like around $8,000 or $10,000 each. And then at that same time, I'd heard about VeVe. I had to make a choice at that time, and I went with Cryptopunks, and I always had VeVe in the back of my mind because of the IP. But the only thing I just didn't agree with, like the not being interoperable, and that was like kind of anti-Web3 at the time. But I didn't know any better too at that time. I didn't read to the white sheet and see the goals VeVe had. So and then after I got into VeVe after that, obviously, but that's where I kind of started my journey into the space. Yeah, and then Mr. 41, I got that name. I'm in a group with a couple guys, and I started collecting 41s, and I threw the idea out there. People thought, and I had a lot of support from Rolex and Silicon as well, when he actually helped me look up the name, see if it was available. So I ended up getting an NFT with the name Mr. 41, .eth. So and Rolex helped me lock that in too. So it's a lot of camaraderie. I met some great people through the app and on the community. That's one of my favorite things about VeVe. is it's a great community. There's a lot of people in the community, and there's so many resources out here. That's what I love the most about VeVe, the community.
Yeah, that's pretty cool that Silicon and Rolly were able to help you out with that, because I do know that there is another person in that group that collects lowest public mints as well, and I wasn't sure how he was going to take it. The guy's name is CB New York NY1. I think it's his username on the app. But
yeah, a funny guy. CB's a good guy. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah. So you mentioned your introduction to NFTs being and you were split between going with a CryptoPunk or jumping into VeVe, and it sounds like you opted to go with the CryptoPunk first. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
All right. My question for you is, what made you confident or comfortable enough to just like put a single dollar into NFTs to begin with? Was it like maybe a friend, a family member? Did you read something on a Reddit thread?
Yeah, that's a great question. I ended up reading an article, because I was in a crypto at the time, pretty hard at crypto, and I would go on different websites where that have articles or information about upcoming projects or whatnot. And I read an article on NFTs and it being like the next big thing, and because the use cases for NFTs are pretty much limitless. So that for me, something clicked, and I still don't know what it is, but it's just pretty much like a gut feeling of it being the next thing, the evolution pretty much of digital technology or Web 3.0 advancement. So it's pretty much something that's emerging and taking off, and it just made sense to me. At the time when I saw Cryptopunks so low, I was in a crypto and I didn't pull the trigger yet, but luckily my portfolio started going up, and I didn't end up making a purchase. My first Cryptopunk, I was around like 90 grand, and I didn't really hesitate to make that purchase. And I talked to a few of my friends that were in a crypto, and they thought I was crazy. And I think I probably was, whatever. But if you don't take any risk, you really don't get any reward. So I purchased it for around 90 grand. And then like within 2 months, I sold it for like over $400,000. So that was like my first introduction of like seeing like massive gains. And then I FOMO'd and ended up buying another one back for like 5 ETH cheaper, like 2 days later. And luckily like ETH went up. So I ended up reselling that one for like another 100 grand more. It was pretty humbling experience, to say the most. But like the CryptoPunks here, they're always going to have a spot in my heart. And Bored Apes, these are things I want to eventually work my way back into. Other projects I want to work my way back to. So
that's wild. So usually we have all of these questions like laid out 15 minutes before the interview, right? And then when I was sending you the Zoom link, you shared with me the video of you accepting a bid for your CryptoPunk, and the bid was like 125. Well, actually, can we even talk about that, or do you want to keep it private?
No, yeah, of course. Yeah, you go ahead and talk about it.
Okay. So you share with me a video of you accepting a bid of 120 something ETH, which was back then like $500,000 for your CryptoPunk. Was that you like actually selling it? Because that was wild.
Yeah, so like it's pretty much like how on VeVe we can list our items like at crazy prices, right? Just to kind of like put them out there on the Larva Labs website, which is different from OpenSea, but it's pretty much similar, where you can throw an offer. Like a VeVe, I don't think we have that option yet. So someone like say, I can't put an offer for so much for a certain item, but someone made an offer to me. So someone, I guess, fell in love with my CryptoPunk, and they made me an offer, and I just couldn't refuse it. At that time, I came into crypto to make money, and I still had that same mentality. And then from there, I started becoming a collector, and I still try to make money if I can or something like that. But it's not my right now in the bear market. That's pretty rough, right? So but that's just like the mentality I kind of came in with that. But the same feeling I had like when I bought it, my first CryptoPunk, I had that same feeling about it's like whatever problems they got going on and things like that. Once these things get ironed out.
Hey guys, just a quick message. Every week I, Mr. V, work over 20 hours to bring you the most non-BS VeVe content. English is my second language, and there were nights we recorded until 1 a.m. My brain stopped processing, and I naturally spoke Vietnamese to him, and it got pretty weird. But that's just how dedicated we are to this podcast. In return, we ask you to enter a gentleman agreement. We will continue working until 1 a.m. for you, but we ask you to subscribe to the podcast, leave us a rating, and tweet at us to tell us what you think, because those comments will ultimately help us to refine the content just for you. That's it. That's all you need to do. Let's get back to it.
I just think the sky's the limit, pretty much.
What was going through your mind when you got that offer, and also how much did you pay for it?
That one, I think it was at that time, I think I paid 120 ETH, and then I think I got offered 125 ETH. But the Ethereum was, since it also correlates like with USD, the Ethereum, the price per Ethereum went up, was shooting up. That's when it was like taking off. So it was like the USD amount was quite a bit more than what I paid for it. That's what I like about a lot of NFTs that are correlated with USD and tokens, because they can kind of take off twice. Like, for example, if there's something for 1 ETH and the project takes off and then maybe it shoots up to 5 ETH, if the price per Ethereum takes off, you can kind of get like a double run. So that's what I also got into NFTs, because I like that factor, instead of versus just buying ETH by itself. Because if a project gets more momentum, the ETH price is going to go up. So it's like a double, like a 2-in-1.
Mm.
So it was pretty interesting how that happened.
Yeah, so you bought one for $90,000 and you flipped it for 400,000, and then you made profit from this second CryptoPunk as well. What went through your mind as you saw those numbers? Because those are crazy numbers.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. Yeah, it was interesting. It was just pretty much shock, right? Just like when anyone's in the middle of a bull run. I think shock is probably the best way to describe how I felt. It was something I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting it, but in a sense, I kind of was, because I just felt it was just going to take off. And like, for example, like CryptoPunks, they've been around since I think 2017. They're to my knowledge, like the first PFP profile project on the blockchain, and I think, to my knowledge, it was done as an experiment. So, for example, like the CryptoPunks, their history in the NFT space is like they're considered hieroglyphics or a fine art in the NFT space. And it's like there's like pretty much no utility to them. And I don't think there probably ever will be, and I don't think they need it, just because of the status they have. They're like one of the most respected projects out there, in my opinion. And they pretty much paved the way for the NFT space.
So, Mr. 41, when you did receive that offer or offers for selling your NFTs, to, I guess, selling those off, do you have a plan in mind with what you intended on using those gains and profits for? And maybe did you already know that you wanted to diversify a bit, or were you just kind of just looking to sell and then sit on it so you could buy some time to think about what your next plan would be?
Yes, like when I first realized I had an offer, the offer was sitting there, I think, for about 4 or 5 days. I was on vacation, so I wasn't checking stuff. And then when I got back, it was sitting there for like 4 or 5 days. So it's like this person, whoever wanted it, could have retracted their offer. So once I saw it, and I started researching, like, in case there were any big announcements that I missed, to make sure if I was to sell it, that I wouldn't have been making a mistake because something big got announced and therefore the value would be going up. So I researched and sat on it for hours. I called a few people that I consider mentors and asked for their opinion on the matter. And then from there, I made my own decision to sell. And then from there, I switched over I bought a Bored Ape. At that time, the ETH was around like it was like half the price. So pretty much I took half out, profit half out in USD, and then the other half I reinvested into other projects.
When you jumped onto the Bored Apes project, how far along were they in terms of their utility, in terms of the social facets, like the social currency and all of that?
They were gaining steam. I had my eye on that project for a while, and that's just something that I learned is don't judge a project by its art, because at that project I didn't like the art, and I could have got in a lot earlier. And it's just something that I felt that I've learned is not judging the project by its art, but instead look into the project, read their white sheet, and look into the founders and make a decision from that. But yeah, they had already airdropped the mutants. And so I think, from my knowledge, the Bored Apes, they're the ones that the project that invented utility for NFTs, to my understanding. So when you hear utility in NFTs, they're pretty much the people that paved the way, the project that paved the way for that. So they're, for that sense, they're respected in the NFT space because of that, and apart from many other things. But yeah, they were still pumping. Like, so when I got mine, the ETH still was shooting up. Still, I think the ETH part by 2x ever since I was holding it in floor. And I think I picked one that was kind of like a semi-rare one to trades, and that's when I kind of started getting into understanding the trades and rarities of the NFTs in these projects.
That's really cool. So you came from the pure Web3 NFT space to VeVe, and VeVe obviously doesn't have interoperability right now. Hopefully they will have it in the future. You cannot receive offers from other people. How did you make that transition from a very decentralized space to VeVe? And why did you start investing into VeVe?
Yeah, for a few different reasons. I think maybe nostalgia is one big one too. You see Spider-Man or those different Marvel characters. I grew up when X-Men came out, and I watched all the cartoons. And then also VeVe had mentioned that they had planned to go interoperable. They also planned a metaverse or VeVeVerse, things like that. So for me, it's just what crossed my mind was running into Cryptopunks at the very beginning. So you got to understand, like with Cryptopunks, they came out in 2017 and they pretty much sat idle for years, maybe 4 or 5 years before they pretty much got noticed, at least in my opinion, from what I've seen, or took off. I saw an opportunity that I felt resembled Cryptopunks at a very young age. Whether the interoperable factor we have now, what maybe down the road 3 to 5 years or something, maybe it's something that might come into fruition. But yeah, so pretty much that's what I see in the VeVe. I just see pretty much these very, very young project being born and pretty much starting to get on its feet right now.
I know that you joined VeVe because of the belief that, oh, this might be the second CryptoPunk. And when CryptoPunk started in 2017, nobody knew about it until a few years later, until like 2020 or even 2021, right? VeVe is pretty much the same. I do believe so too. But then there's a lot of things going on with VeVe. Like they've missed multiple deadlines already. Just things like that. Because of those missed deadlines and because of all the FUDs surrounding the projects today, do you have that same belief that you had when you first joined VeVe? And how do you stay committed to VeVe?
Yeah, I still do have the same feeling that I had when I first started. I still feel VeVe has a lot of room to grow, and it's still so young. So pretty much I just compare it to other projects. Whether you want to compare it to Bitcoin, there's going to be a lot of ups and downs. So we're pretty much in uncharted territory, and VeVe is pretty much building the plane as it's in the air, so to speak. So since it's something that's pretty much never been done before. And VeVe, what I find interesting is it has a marketplace, and it's different. It's an app, and it's built a little bit differently. It's built to be consumer friendly as well. So it's pretty interesting. But yeah, but even like Cryptopunks or these other projects, when you're holding one, and it's like, it was kind of scary having an asset that I get hijacked or click on a wrong link and before it's gone. So that was another reason why I felt comfortable selling, because I felt there was too much to risk losing, whether the chances are of losing your NFT are very low. But it's just something that for me, it was kind of a little scary to hold on to. So it's interesting. But yeah, I think with VeVe, I still feel the same way. We have a lot of bumps in the roads. The community is strong, whether there's FUD or not. There's still people that are talking about VeVe, and so I still feel that there's a lot of room to grow. Whether it depends also what goals you have. If your goals are making return, if you're investing in VeVe, you're putting money into invest, it might take a long time or not. Who knows? Will it ever go up? We don't know, right? But these are the things that if you're investing, that you gotta be willing to take that shot, right?
So since you've entered the space, since you've made a couple of significant sales, and now that you have your feet wet with the VeVe ecosystem, do you feel like you've adjusted how you weight your portfolio? So you were talking about before how you were pretty heavy into crypto before entering the NFTs, and handling and dealing with the NFTs, and then VeVe with the digital collectibles. Now that you've had all this exposure to this space, do you find that you've weighted more favorably with NFTs because of their ability to maybe give that double benefit? So kind of like how you were talking to how ETH was running up, and also the returns of, like, if you were paying an ETH for an NFT was running up as well, getting that double kickback, so to speak. Do you find that you have shifted more heavily into NFTs because of that? And especially now that we're in a bear market in anticipation of another run up? Or do you find that you've kind of stepped back a little bit more, shifted your portfolio more in favor of crypto? What are your thoughts, and based on your experience, what do you find more comfort in?
Right now, I think I feel more comfort in building up liquidity and being liquid heavy at the time, because right now there's so much, in my opinion, geopolitical issues going on in the world that have a factor on markets, right? So I think for me, just being liquid heavy and being ready to invest. So I have kind of taken a step back and reanalyzed my position in VeVe. So maybe, for example, I'm not going after many lower mints unless I find a good deal or something. Like the other day, I did pick up an SR Miles, maybe last week, because I saw an opportunity. I actually had one listed a little bit above the floor, right? Like I think there was like 3 underneath below mine. And when I checked on it, like a few days later, there was only one. I was like, oh man, so maybe there's someone picking these off. So I ended up buying that one and taking mine off the market. So there's creating some fluff in between, right? So it's like, I think my low mint collection is pretty much, I think my collection I have is pretty good. VeVe takes off, I'm comfortable with what I got, right? So I think, yeah, I don't know. And I'm also just trying to have fun too, like what I like. I'm also hoping they drop like a Wolverine pretty soon because he's my favorite character. You know what I mean? So I want to try to have some gems and wait for an opportunity to come up, because when we're in bear markets, there's going to be opportunities to take it of people, certain people's maybe financial situations, maybe where they might have to let something go at a lower price or things like that. So I think being liquid heavy is important right now in these markets and in real life too, right? We've got a lot of stuff going on just to be ready for opportunity in case an opportunity presents itself, to be ready. So that's where I'm at and I'm thinking. You know what I mean?
So your collection is very unique because you have most of them sub or mint 41. How do you feel about the recent over-the-counter transactions, and how do you think those trades will affect the value of your collections?
Yeah, so like the OTC deal, obviously, like I'm going to be speaking from a biased perspective, right? Like because of what I got. So obviously, I was pretty infuriated, and other people that were low end collectors were as well. And I probably expressed my feelings a little bit on Spaces about that. But it's like, it is what it is now. It's like I was a little emotional at the time, because it's like that's something that, from my knowledge and like what we saw, was not supposed to happen, or at least what we were told was not going to happen. So I think I was more upset with that, and then also to not have a chance maybe at those low mints, because like for example, like say Thor, I think Thor 99 and 100 SRs were part of the deal of the Journey into Mystery 83, the first appearance comic. That's like, okay, I got the first public mint Thor, so it's like, I don't know, I didn't feel it was right. And I felt it could have been handled smoother, but I don't know if it was a mistake on VeVe's part or not. Whatever they can do, it's their business. At the end of the day, they're free to do whatever they want, right? And it's just like I got to keep reminding myself I'm a passenger in this VeVe. I look at VeVe as a vehicle, and I'm a passenger. I'm not a driver, right? And so we got the CEOs are the ones that are driving the vehicle, right? So it's like we're either going to be on board or we're going to be off. So it's like you got to take the hits too, right? Everything can't just be sunny days, right? Especially if you're collecting or investing or things like that. It's just, these are things that you got to be ready to evolve and just be ready to change your strategy, right? So yeah, so that's why I've kind of taken it easy on the lower mints and maybe going after other stuff or just drops right now and seeing what happens with that. Of the OTC deal, maybe if they decide to do that and offer it to everybody, I also got to be ready for that as well. Yeah, so that's my opinion on it.
So you said that you expressed your thoughts and opinions in Spaces, and that a lot of other special or low mint collectors shared similar sentiments about the situation, and that you've found that you've had to pivot just a bit. So your activity has slowed down quite a bit, as you were saying. Now, to what extent have you slowed down? What does that mean?
Yeah, so I think I just took a step back and trying to analyze like what do I want out of VeVe, and I got to remember for me VeVe is fun on it, right? So it's like I want to make sure I keep having fun. So if I keep going after 41s and paying whatever, how many X over the floor, and then 6 months down the road, VeVe decides to offer OTC to the public, I don't think that'd be the smartest move for me to keep doing that, buying 41s. And at least I think it's worth seeing what they'd be going for. These sub public mints do come out and go from there. So I'm also waiting for clarification. I asked Alex in Spaces, and I sent David an email for if they'd be able to offer some clarity on that situation, or sub-public mints in general, so I can actually have some more footing to be able to have somewhere to point, some direction pretty much on where I want to go. So because I still love low mints, right? I think they're real cool, and being in the market, like low mints are pretty popular, and I think they did take a hit after the OTC deal. The lower mints are not as sought after. They still are, don't get me wrong, but I don't think there's just a lot of I can't find the right words, but it's confusion in the air still of what's going to happen, at least in my opinion, right?
Yeah, absolutely. A thought that had crossed my mind before was, how can they reward these lowest public mint holders who've gone through the ropes, who've made that effort to find and pay those premiums or what have you. And something that I was thinking about was maybe as an incentive, maybe VeVe should be able to award at no fee a sub 41 or a sub 186, or like a lower than the lowest public mint right? As just as a sign of good faith after what they've done, and at least give that the lowest public mint holders those options. So like say for example, if you got the lowest public mint of the Thor comic, maybe they should maybe give you one lower than what they'd given anyone else as a thank you for your commitment and faith in the project. I don't know what kind of thoughts have crossed your mind when, you know, like as a way for them to not right or wrong, right? Because it's like you said that they're the drivers and we're the passengers, but maybe to kind of make amends in a way, and so that everyone can move on.
I think that's a really good question, because even though the NFTs that you have on VeVe will probably give you a very good return on investment, and they may say, oh, that's going to be the benefits, the utilities of you having those low mint collectibles. But I think it's also like you guys have spent a lot of money on the app, a lot of time, a lot of effort to it. You are super committed, and I think there should be some benefits. Well, this is me just adding to Mr. V's question. For example, like maybe you guys should have early access to MCP because you are the huge users who have spent a lot of capital and time in the app, or maybe you should be able to get some kinds of badge in the app or a special access to something instead of just some extra MCP points because you have low mint. Yeah. So I just wanted to add to that question.
Yeah. So pretty much, yeah, if they decide to do something like that, that'd be cool, right? Yeah, I think that'd be cool, but I don't know if that's something that they would do, but it would help improve some of the sentiment. But for me, it's not as important as it was, I think, 2 days or whatever when it happened. You know, it's kind of like when time passes, it's just like, okay, what's the next move? It's just like I got to adjust to like the current market situations or the things I have in front of me. I don't try to dwell too much in the past, but it would be nice. It would show some type of gratitude for them on their behalf, right? So I think that would pretty much anything, if they were to show any put forward some type of effort, I think that'd be pretty cool and bullish, right? Because it would show that they do care about the collectors, and we all make mistakes, right? Is it a mistake on their part? Maybe not. Maybe it's something they planned out. Yeah, I see the point of view, like with some points and things like that. It'd be cool, but it's something that might make me even feel bad to get, because if they do give something out for like these super low mints, it's like I feel it would put me in an unfair advantage over other people that might even create a different type of uproar, right? Because then when we start doing things like that, then everyone's going to want things. I think we might be counterproductive, in my opinion.
I think that there are multiple ways they can reward power users and still make it fair, so that the rewards doesn't have anything to do with monetary benefits. For example, like I started VeVe back in February 2021. So I was pretty early myself. I'm definitely not a whale, but I and many other folks who are whales haven't received our MCP point, for example. And I think what they should do is, oh, what if you started VeVe early on, like you committed to us very early, or if you have a big collection, you should be rewarded with early MCP access, for example. So it's not monetary values, but it is a good way to reward, to motivate people without creating that jealousy in the community, because it's better to give us those kind of things, which I think is very fair, compared to giving MCP access to some accounts that haven't logged in for a few months and going with that random selection route with MCP and other features too. But that's just me rambling about things.
Yeah, they're great. Yeah, great ideas. Yeah, I think that would they do something like that, or any type of rewards for low mints, it would bring more attention to the lower mints and the local community, and it might even increase the value to the lower mints, and create a higher demand for that too, right? So it's a very interesting question. Great points too. Yeah, that'd be cool to see something like that. The more I think about it, the more I think it's a good idea.
Right. And I love hearing stories. I know you have a beautiful collection. I would love to hear stories about 3 NFTs that you have. Okay, so tell me a story about one mint that took you the longest to get, or one NFT that was the hardest to get. So that's number 1, right? The second one will be a mint that you regret getting. And the third one will be a mint that you would absolutely keep if everything else is taken away from you. You can start with any of them.
Okay, I think the mint that took me the longest or hardest to get, I think it's a tie between my Thor Secret Rare 41 collectible and my 41 Wonder Woman collectible. So I noticed the 41 Thor, and I that was probably one of my first 41s I got. And it's just like, I like lower mints. It's like I would go anything like sub 100 I thought was cool, and it still is, right? They're great. And once I saw that on the market, and then I saw, I think at that time, I think I might have had like 2 waltz or 3 waltz, and it's like, okay, the walt price is a lot higher than what I paid for it. So I ended up selling or shorting a walt and using that to purchase my 41 Secret Rare Thor. So it's like, I'd rather have a 41 Secret Rare Thor than a walt, a floor walt, right? And that's just me, right? I just let the mint number, and the Thor, I think he's a very significant character. So I just had to have him, and ended up making a deal with someone on the Facebook group, and we were going back and forth, and he took it off the market and waited for me to sell. It took a little bit of time too. So it was like that whole time, it was like about a week or so,
Wow.
discussing and back and forth. But I loaded up the gems and ended up making a transaction. Very guy, he was a class act. He waited for me, and it was pretty cool. We became friends. And then the 41 Wonder Woman, that one, I remember seeing it like in the bull market, some crazy gem price, and I was like, man, if I sell this, and this, I was trying to devise a plan to go after it. I think it was like around like 20 something thousand gems. I think I had some liquid with those other NFT things I had going on, but I didn't get it. It ended up coming off the market as I was working for it. It was going on. I was working for about a few weeks trying to gems and do other stuff, and ended up taking off the market. And so I never saw it again. At that time, I didn't even know how to message people like on the app. You could message people on the feed, but this was like a long time ago, and I wasn't as knowledgeable as I am now. So with that one, I just saw it on the market, and I would send actually the person messages when I pop back up on the market. It would disappeared for like months and months and months, right? And I was like, oh man, that's the one that got away, right? Yeah, it's like kind of that story where like the ex-girlfriend or girl that gets away. I mean, and it's like, for me, it's Wonder Woman. It's like the second highest grossing character of all time, and it's like, for me, it's like, man, that's a really significant character for me. I like Wonder Woman. She's badass. So when I saw it, and I was like, man, I didn't think it was whatever the price, and I tried to send the guy messages to lower it. And like when you send messages like on the app, people see that too. And if someone something, it's like a double-edged sword, right? So it's like, man, and I didn't get a response after a few days. I'm like, oh man. And that, meanwhile, it's like on sitting in the market, and so it's like FOMO's real. I mean, I don't care what anyone says, you know. So people, you can still get a FOMO today or tomorrow, whatever, for anything you see in the market. So that kicked in a little bit, and I ended up just taking it off the market and buying it. And when you're loading up the gems, and it was pretty intense. But yeah, that was pretty hard to get. But yeah, once I got it, it was just like I just felt relieved, because that's one of my favorite collectibles I have at the time, and it's one of them I don't, plan to hold for a long time or forever.
I think it's also most special because I think she came out in 1941, right?
Yeah, and these are things, and so if she did, these are things I'm not aware of. So I'm learning things. If she did come out 1941, that's even more cool, right? And so I learned a lot about like other collectibles I get.
1941, you got it.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, see, so that's
Yeah, there
like,
you go. You know why I know? Okay, let me tell you another story. In the past, I interviewed this guy. He is also a specimen collector, Saxon Sawai. He has an unbelievable collection as well. And he has number 41 Captain America. So Captain America and Wonder Woman both came out in 1941. So
wow.
He has that Captain America mint number 41, the Captain America Mighty. So like the real FA. And you have the Wonder Woman 41. So that's really cool.
Wow, that's so cool. So those were pretty interesting stories, chasing those.
You actually don't know? You actually don't know that she came out in 1941?
No, it's interesting because
Oh my God.
I love all these characters and stuff too, and it's like there's just so much stuff to learn. Like ever since I got into VeVe, I learned so much. Like I became a Star Wars. I like Star Wars now. 1977, like that's huge for these Star Wars guys. And now it's like I'm learning a lot. I didn't expect to learn this much about characters in the FA years, because these are things that I wouldn't have known or really even cared about if it wasn't for VeVe, right? So that's what I want to thank David, you for that, and the VeVe team, and you too. I wouldn't have known that if you didn't bring it up.
In case you regretted paying too much for number 41 Wonder Woman, now you don't have to regret anymore, because that's her FA year. So it makes it even more special.
Exactly. I believe 100% agree with you. And it's interesting that you said that, because the same thing happened when I bought Dumbo. And I forgot, someone told me that 41 was the year that Dumbo came out as well, the Dumbo year, 1941.
That was me.
That was, yeah, Mr. There you go, Mr. V. Yeah, yeah. And it's like,
yeah,
so,
1941. Yep.
yeah. So it's like I'm learning these things. I'm going, I'm like, man, that's so cool. I think that's really, really cool because it's like I feel it's like I wasn't expecting that. So and it ends up being like it's like a present for me or a gift. I just feel that I've been blessed with some cool luck.
That's awesome. Like those kind of moments, and I'm not saying you, but those kind of moments can turn somebody from being like looking like an idiot to a complete genius. So
Yeah, 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 and that's like, and I'm the idiot, right? And it's like
no, no,
cool,
no, no.
but
I'm not saying that you are like that. You are the idiot, but I'm just saying like
yeah, no, just like
sometimes these extra facts that made your decision so much better.
definitely, but that's how I feel like knowing that now that Wonder Woman is that's the year for FA, so it's a tumbling for me, so it's pretty cool. And I don't mind calling myself an idiot or whatever. It's just
Also, when I look at your collection and other specimen collectors collection, and I see these mint numbers and these years, I always Google them to make sure that, oh, okay, this guy collected. You have some Star Wars characters, 1977, 76, 78, or something like that. And I always Google them to make sure, oh, okay, this guy is actually getting the year that this character came out. So it makes it even more special.
yeah. So like with the special mints, Star Wars, like the 1977, those like that's very hot, very hot items in the special mint game. They fetch premiums, and also the Star Wars collectors are very serious group of people. Serious at collecting. They really joke around and stuff too. Really cool people. But it's that 77 is 1977 or even 77, and there's just so much more that I'm learning. Like Star Wars, they have different legions, they have different things that I've never even known or heard about. It wasn't for VeVe or people I've met on or through VeVe. So it's pretty cool. Star Wars is very intense and good group of people. Met a lot of really cool Star Wars people that I can see myself hanging out with on a daily basis.
Yeah, the rabbit hole for any IP on VeVe is insanely deep. Like you pointed out, for me, I never imagined that I would know so many random facts about like 2 or 3 different IPs and the different characters and who was behind them and the different movie releases for each one. It's just there's just so many different ways that you could go about each IP, and it gamifies it for us, right? It makes it more interesting. It keeps it fresh while when we are on the market, and it does really force those true fans to interact with each other in pursuit of those significant mints to the fans. So I agree with you, and at the very least, it's that we have it available 24/7, 365, right? It's just another element that we get to play with when we're on VeVe.
100%. Yeah, I agree with that. 100%. Yeah, and it's interesting because when what I take from the collecting NFTs like Cryptopunks and Bored Apes or Mutants, they have different rarities as well. They're all one of ones.
I guess you can talk about a story where you regretted buying a particular mint.
Let's see. Yeah, I think I'm that's something that I'm not sure if I ever regretted buying a certain mint. Pretty much something I think that I do regret maybe is buying something that was maybe pretty high and then it has came down. I think probably the one I maybe regret the most, I think there was a Givenchy that I think I got around like 8,000 gems, and then like so seeing it down to like whatever it's at now, like 300 gems. I think that's probably like something I regret. At the time when I bought it, I didn't regret it because it went up and then down. But I think that's more of a lesson. There was one that I was thinking about, like the Dumbo that I bought, because I think like the following day that I purchased it was OTC deal, right? And it's like, shoot, maybe I could have got it a lot cheaper or something like that. But then like to hear that it's like 41 FA years, like, oh wait, maybe I shouldn't be thinking like that, right? So I don't know. It's like I don't know if there's something that I regret, because there might be things that have gone down in value that probably weren't the smartest moves. But I think with regretting purchasing something, I don't think I have any.
What do you think about those sets, like where there are less significant characters? And in this instance, I'm talking about collectibles. What about those sets where there's less significant characters that are kind of just thrown into the mix? And then, of course, you have those more profound characters, big name characters in specific sets. If there's like 3, 4, 5 collectibles within that batch, do you find that it doesn't bother you when you do pursue those, when you did pursue those low mints for them?
You know what? I think it makes it a little bit more exciting when there's more collectibles. At least for me, like for example, like the Ant-Man set. And there's 6 of them that I got, that the 641s. So I have the full set. I think that's the only one of VeVe that
Oh my
that's
God.
a 6 set with 41s.
That's a
And
flex.
What
yeah,
was
so
the
that
story behind that set? Because that is definitely like next level right there. Can you tell me some stories about that? But how you were able to get all 6 of them with the mint 41?
yeah, I think like going back to being a little bit ready, like, and having liquidity and having an opportunity present itself in the marketplace, it just went hand in hand. So once I saw these 41s start coming up, I was like, because there's sets that I've gone after that I couldn't complete, right? I think I have like 2 sets where I have like 4 out of 5 41s, and you're taking a risk by going after these especially when all the other ones are not on the market yet. So, and I started seeing some on the market pop up 41s. Cool. So I started snagging some of these off the market, anticipating that all of them would come out, and they did end up coming on the marketplace. So it was a surprise. So anytime you're going after these special mints, and I'm sure Mr. V can attest to it, it's very rare to be able to complete sets that with matching mint numbers. And then the more items there are in a set, the harder it is, right? So it's like 6 is very difficult, 5 is very difficult, 4 is very difficult, 3 is very difficult. Even finding 2 matching mint numbers is pretty difficult, and then to find some with significant mint numbers is even more difficult. So the opportunity was just there, and I didn't hesitate to complete that set, and that's probably one of my favorite sets that I have. I think 5 of them are interactive, right? So it's like we're gonna wait and see what rolls out with these interactive collectibles. So I'm pretty excited with that set.
Hey guys, just a quick message. Every week I, Mr. V, work over 20 hours to bring you the most non-BS VeVe content. English is my second language, and there were nights we recorded until 1 a.m. My brain stopped processing, and I naturally spoke Vietnamese to him, and it got pretty weird. But that's just how dedicated we are to this podcast. In return, we ask you to enter a gentleman agreement. We will continue working until 1 a.m. for you, but we ask you to subscribe to the podcast, leave us a rating, and tweet at us to tell us what you think, because those comments will ultimately help us to refine the content just for you. That's it. That's all you need to do. Let's get back to it.
But yeah, I was surprised and pretty excited once I completed that set. I was pretty stoked.
That really is amazing. It's such a challenge, particularly because more recently the drops don't sell out. But that one just so happened to sell out. And I think the airdrop may have helped. It may or may not have helped. But in either case, the fact that all of those collectibles were minted and available, so that means somebody had those collectibles in their wallets. You're right. The fact that people were willing to list them on the marketplace. Oh, by the way, did everyone list them on the marketplace, or did you actually have to ask somebody, or did you yourself search using one of those apps or websites to find the owners of one of those or a few of those 41s? Was everything on the market, or did you actually have to kind of be a little creative?
Yeah, I think most of them were on the market. They started after the drop. They started popping up like at different times. So I was pretty much in the market all day that day, refreshing the page, and yeah, they ended up being popped. Most of them I got on the market, and then also I got DMs. I get a lot of DMs for 41s for sale. I think I negotiated 2 over direct message, and the others I got on the marketplace. And yeah, so I put that together, and also ended up finding the first public mint of the FA Ant-Man comic and the last public mint of the FA Ant-Man comic as well. So it's that whole set, the first public mint, whole Ant-Man collectible set, and then the first and last mint FA Ant-Man comic. I don't know how, I just feel blessed to have the opportunity to put that together, because that's pretty difficult. If we were in a bull market, that'd be unheard of.
For me, like just a set of 3 collectibles, like I think it was my Steamboat Willie set. It took me over a year to put the whole set together. I found
Wow.
2 out of the 3, and the third one popped up. Funny enough, it was somebody in our group who had it, and it was Saxon Sawai. The guy has so many nice mints in his collection that he forgets. He forgot that he had. I'm assuming he forgot that he had all of these things, and I've been asking around for over a year.
Wow.
So I mean, I think it's really crucial. It's critical time to take advantage of those windows of opportunity like you did to complete the set, because after the first 30 days or so, the collectibles get delisted from the marketplace, right? And then all of a sudden there's this, I don't want to call it artificial delist, like a reflection of, oh man, how do I put it? Because there's automatic delistings, not everybody is actively looking to sell those collectibles. They may have forgotten, or the floor may have dropped so much that people don't want to sell at a loss. So what you were able to do with that 6-piece set was very, very special, and absolutely flex set. And the fact that you got the first and last mint of that comic as well for the FA of Ant-Man, I mean, that's fantastic, man.
I feel blessed to be able to put it together. But yeah, it takes a little bit of time on the market, and or a lot of time, a lot of effort, put these sets together. Like there's people putting countless hours, just like you said. I took a whole year, put that Steamboat Willie set together, and it's really cool and it's fun. I'm sure it was really fun when you put it together too. Yes, I find like that the mint, like the set collecting and matching mint numbers, that's like a totally other conversation that we can have for hours and hours, I'm sure.
You also have the posters, like the blue and purple Disney poster with mint 41 too, right?
Yeah, and on that one, I'm missing 141, so I have four
okay.
of the complete sets, and that's like what I was talking about earlier, where it's hard to find sometimes, like where I've never seen it in the market. So every now and then I'll still go back and look for see the 41s in the market, right? Maybe every days or every once a week or whatever, hoping it pops up. But yeah, I have that set, and I think there's another set I have that's where I'm missing another 41 to complete the set. But yeah, and the same thing, the same idea. I saw them popping up in the marketplace, and I was picking them up and hoping the other one would pop up, but it hasn't yet. But we'll see. It might take me a few months, maybe down the road it'll pop up, or maybe VeVe might change the marketplace up a little bit to where we can search these items and put an offer, kind of like what I had on a Cryptopunk, where someone can just submit an offer. And I can submit so many gems and let these people, let the owners think about it, and then they can push yes or no. I think that's something that maybe we should consider adding on the app, is an offer button or the tab for us to make offers in certain collectibles.
Right. And so what is one NFT that you would absolutely want to keep if everything else is taken away from you?
On VeVe or just overall?
On VeVe. What is your VeVe treasure, VeVe baby?
That's a difficult question, because I do have a lot of my Thor 41, my Wonder Woman 41, but I think if I was to keep one, I think it'd be, and this is a close call, I'd probably have to go with the FA Spider-Man, in some brain fog, of the Amazing Fantasy 15, 633, a mint number. And I just found out too that the 633 mint number, Amazing Spider-Man 1 came out in 1963, in March of 1963. So that's pretty cool. That mint number. So the 63 resembles Amazing Spider-Man 1, and then the 3 resembles the March. But that's someone pointed that out to me as well, that I'm aware of. But I think that one's my baby. You can't go wrong with Amazing Fantasy 15.
Is that a secret rare variant?
Yeah, secret rare. Yeah.
Wow. Oh my God. Secret rare AF15 mint 633.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That one took me a long time to get to. Just kind of working my way up to saving gems, and that's probably one of the hardest things to do on the app is saving gems, because when you start saving up for something, then something else might catch your eye. But yeah, that one's probably my top grail on the app.
That's crazy. So I know that you have sold your Cryptopunks and Bored Apes at the top and made profit. What is your plan with your special mint collectibles and comics? And yeah, basically, do you have like a profit-taking strategy, or you want to hold on to them for a long time?
If we start seeing the market shift again going up, I think what I've become, I think, good at is shorting the market and timing peaks and seeing things start to come down a little bit. So I think if we were to shoot up, my grails I don't plan to sell, my 41s I don't plan to sell. And I do have stuff that I've stacked where I would maybe sell a few of them. I wouldn't sell, but still keep. I think, David, you had mentioned that everyone should collect 3 of everything. You keep one, you sell one, and trade one. I do have a plan, if we do take off again, to shave some stuff off the top. But my 41s, they have a lot of sentimental value, and I've never sold one until I think 2 days ago. I sold one to another collector, and only because he valued the 41s as well. I sold Avengers Tower. He was that DMing me for a while, and he has the 41 Golden Moments Avengers logo. So I sold him the tower, and because he wanted it to match his 41 Avengers logo. So I think with the special mints, it might be something like that. And with the stuff that I stack, maybe I sell a few or so if we do see the bull market anytime soon. But yeah, I'm cool to sit on stuff too. If someone does want to get something out of my hands that I really cherish, it's got to be life-changing money. But that's it, because everything does really price first and foremost for me, in my opinion. But it's just got to make sense. I got to be able to maybe trade up or something, right? So it's like if someone really wants something I have, it would. I'd only really consider selling if I was getting something that I would cherish more. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah. So what do you think about OMI? Do you have any OMI, and what are your thoughts on the token, and where do you think OMI is heading to?
Yeah, I think with OMI, I don't hold any OMI yet, and that's pretty much the same with crypto at the moment. I cashed out probably like 95% of all my crypto, and I think I'm also, that's why I was mentioning building the liquidity, because I think I want to make a move soon. But with crypto, it's interesting. With OMI in itself, I think that the token still has a lot more. There needs to be a little more utility to added to it. I would love to see. And I'm not a tech person, so I don't know how it would work, but I would love to see our NFTs on VeVe being sold or traded with only OMI, right? Just kind of like the NFTs on the OpenSea are sold with Ethereum. That way, if things do take off and OMI does take off, or our collectibles would also as well, right? So I would love to see that utility added. But with these tokens and coins, these things, once there's like an announcement like that, if they were to add these things just rip. You're lucky if you got an hour or two to make a purchase before they do start taking off. So it's like, just like that other token that just came out called Pepe or Pipi, these things are just flying, right? And I think with OMI, it has the potential to fly just because of being tied to VeVe, right? If the utility is added, I do see a value, and I would jump in. I think it's good to have a few different tokens and the diversity with crypto, because we don't know what's going to take off. But I do plan to get OMI. I just don't know if it's a good time now or in the future. But I think I'm going to get into it maybe pretty soon. But I'd love to see some more utility added to it.
What's your thoughts on staking? So like previously they had mentioned that if you lock up X amount of OMI, there's different rewards, tiers for the rewards. Have you ever experimented with staking in other crypto projects? And if you have, what was your experience like? And if you have not, maybe you could share your opinion on that approach that VeVe is trying to take with staking in the app for those different tiers and those incentives.
Yeah, I think with staking, I've never looked into it and learned about it or educated myself enough to feel confident in doing staking. But I've heard from multiple people that you can make money or profit, or that staking does work. But I don't know enough about staking or feel comfortable enough to do any staking at the moment. But it is something that I plan to teach myself and educate myself on in the future. But at the moment, it's something that I'm not in a rush to jump on board with.
Yeah, so now that you have been with VeVe for almost 2 years now, if you were to go back to your starting date in July 2021, what are the 3 things, can be mistakes, can be lessons, can be just anything that you would tell yourself to help you to make better decisions? I guess I'm more so focusing on like, what have you learned from your mistakes that you think will benefit yourself in 2021 or other collectors on the app?
Yeah, I think I've learned quite a few lessons, and I'm sure having fun. I think the biggest mistake or lesson I've learned is don't judge an NFT project based on the art, and that pretty much being like Bored Apes. In my own personal experience. And then I feel the more you research, the more you mitigate any risk. So reading up and learning about the founders of projects, I think, is important. And then also reading the white sheets on certain projects and coins and things, and actually understanding and getting a feel for the project before you put any money in. And then being patient, like in VeVe, we're in the passenger seat, not the driver's seat, and we definitely got to buckle up and enjoy the ride. So it's those are pretty much the lessons I've learned. And then also, if taking profits, I think, was probably the biggest lesson I've learned. And I was lucky to have a mentor that talked me into it. So I think knowing when to take profits and actually taking profits is important from an investment perspective.
Do you mind me asking, when you do decide to take profits, are there markers along the way where you can say, okay, this is the point where I know I want to take profits. So like, for example, for me, when I'm dealing with crypto and I see, and you can set your sale prices, your selling prices. Normally what I like to do is like every 10% it goes up, I'll take a set amount out for future liquidity in case there is a retracement in the market. Do you have a strategy set in place?
I don't really have a strategy. I think like with my past decisions I've made, I think the biggest indicator that I saw that had an influence was the Fed starting to raise interest rates. So say the interest rates were going low, there was a lot of money flowing around. And once interest rates started rising, then that's usually like a indicator or a signal that the markets overall might be headed down. So pretty much that's what I think was the biggest indicator I saw, because we had the interest rates started going up and up and up for a while. Once that happened, the economy slowly started going down, right? So I think that was my biggest indicator back then. Now, buying and flipping is pretty difficult when compared to the bull market, but there are some people that are doing that. And every now and then, like I say, if I get maybe I think I'm more of like a swing trader. If I am, put a label on myself, like to say, maybe I might buy some things, maybe like some lower mints, and then put them on the market. Maybe put like one or two. If I buy maybe a handful, put maybe one or two a few months later. And usually the lower mints, they become scarce, or special mints too, right? Are a little bit more sought after, and they create a higher premium. So if you can get some pretty good deals on these special mints, sometimes there might be someone that's interested, that's willing to pay a premium for it. Right? But yeah, that's pretty much my perspective on that.
Yeah. So you are a huge whale on the app. We spent a lot of time talking about your over 60 NFTs with the Mint 41 and other special mints too, but you also have 3,000 NFTs total in your collection. So you're a huge whale. If you were to hop on a call with Dan and David right now, what are the two things you would want to ask them or suggest to them to improve the app or your experience?
I think since we're having a lot of issues like with collectibles and the Dumbo drop and those issues, I think that they should consider keeping maybe the first 5 mints for VeVe and whatever they want to do with them, and starting maybe public mint at number 6 would help solve some problems and uncertainties of people that are low mint hunters. We'd feel a lot more comfortable. And I think that would bring more people to the app or to engage more. And then I also think that they should consider not shifting the goalposts too much. And then maybe, let's see, I'm sorry, that's already 2, but I wanted to sneak in that they should drop Baby Yoda. Now, drop Baby Yoda. There's a lot of people waiting for Baby Yoda. And I think that'd be cool. That would bring a lot of sentiment back. And I think that can turn things around pretty much. I don't know. Some people like Pokemon too, but I prefer the Baby Yoda personally.
You want that Baby Yoda to be like the original colorway and everything, or would it bother you if it was a platinum moment?
Yeah, I think personally, I think the original, and I think it'd be cool to even have like an interactive Baby Yoda, because being interactive, pretty much like it's limitless. Say down the road, if we have any type of gamification, I think interactive would be the way to go. But yeah, I think like a green Baby Yoda.
Yeah. So what do you think about the VeVeVerse, and where do you think VeVe will go in the end of 2023 and in 2025 even? So how do you envision the future of VeVe and the VeVeVerse?
It's interesting because with the VeVeVerse, I think they're using Unreal Engine 5, if I'm not mistaken, and that's pretty much a tool they use to create the graphics and whatnot, and that's pretty advanced, right? That's like the most advanced tool. I think they might even be coming out with Unreal Engine 6. So as long as the graphics are awesome and good, then people will be all about it, and that's what I'm hoping for. We're gonna have some pretty cool graphics. My personal expectations aren't. I like to prepare for the worst and pray for the best. So I don't have high expectations because I don't want to feel let down when it comes out. So I think maybe 2025 it should be off the hook, right? I don't know if it's going to be off the bat because they're going to have a lot of bugs they got to work out. But I think there's a lot of potential, especially with the users. We have a lot of people on VeVe, and the thing is with VeVe, it's like for $2 or whatever, 2 gems, you can be part of the community, right? So I think we're gonna have a lot of users, and I do high hopes for the VeVeVerse. And it's interesting because they can take it so many ways. There's the gamification with things. It's pretty like limitless, right? It just might take a little time to develop. But now, since we have artificial intelligence that also does coding, right? There's people using ChatGPT to build websites or build apps and coding and things like that. So I think if we have some advancement in technology soon, which we are having, then we might even have like the VeVeVerse sooner than we think, a legit cool super VeVeVerse. But it also depends on headsets, advancement of headsets and AR glasses and whatnot. It might take a little bit of time. I think that's where everything's headed, personally.
I love talking to you and other specimen collectors and whales like you, because you guys are very calm and you guys are very patient. And this is the reason why I said that, because for you and guys like you and Mr. V, you guys put a lot of time, effort, and especially money into the app, and you keep that faith and that belief and that commitment during the hardest time of VeVe, which is, it's been since 2022 and then now going to 2023. They've missed so many deadlines, so many other OGs and big collectors have left the app. You guys are still here, still investing, still engaging, and it's just amazing, because sometimes for me, I've been creating VeVe content for over a year now, and usually in these podcasts, I always mention to people, like, we work very hard. We work until 1 a.m. sometime. It is now almost 11 p.m. Eastern time, right? So after this call, I and Mr. V will usually talk about how we strategize our content. But my point here is that you guys put a lot of money, effort, time in. I also put a lot of effort and time in. But we are going through a rough time. It is a very challenging time for the app. So I don't know about you guys, but every day I question myself, am I crazy? Like, why am I spending many hours of my day over the past year making content, contributing to the community, building the reputation within the VeVe ecosystem, when everything seems like it's heading into the wrong direction, or not heading into the right direction that I wanted it to go to? But then when I'm rethinking about it again, I feel like, well, I might be crazy, but at the same time, I feel like this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I feel like this is the second internet. So you can either buy your physical toys or you can buy your digital toys and collectibles. And with VeVe, they've made the onboarding process so easy. It's just a matter of time, just to my personal opinion, it's just a matter of time before we get the adoption. And that adoption will take us to the next level. Especially, there are rumors of Amazon having their NFT marketplace later this month. So I feel very happy and I feel very assured with my decision to continue contributing and making content every day. Most of the time, because I hang out with people like you guys who are more experienced, much more patient, and can see way further into the future, because you have that experience in the past. You, Mr. 41, with Cryptopunk, for example. So I am super happy to get your perspective today, because it is very important. That's why I wanted to bring people with a lot invested into the app, because there is a reason why. It's not like you pour money in for nothing, right? You have that belief, that commitment. And I think having your perspective during this tough time is so crucial. And I want to say thank you for that.
Oh yeah, thank you too. And I agree with everything you said. And I want to thank you as well. You're putting in a lot of work too, and bringing knowledge and everything you're doing and bringing videos out. It's bringing more awareness into the space, and it's especially with the times we're going through now. But it's interesting because it's the times we're seeing now, depending on your opinion and perspectives, it's going on around the world, not just VeVe, right? These are things like I feel we got to take a step back, and it's just not VeVe. VeVe does have issues, but it's like you take a step back, and it's like there's so many other things that are not going too well right now around the world, not the best scenarios. So I think it also that also comes into the app and things like that. So there are people that, whether people are, they call it spreading FUD or awareness or things like that, it's going on around the world. In my opinion, what we're seeing now in VeVe, they have a lot on their plate, right? Dan, Dave, these people, Alex, they got so much on their plate. I can't say I can run their business better, because they have a lot going on. Maybe hearing the community out a little bit would help. There's just so much going on. The whole Web3 space, the expansion of it is limitless, and it's growing so fast. You've been in tech, and I'm sure you see a lot of stuff going on where the chat GBT, I think 5 already came out too, I think, or it's coming out. So it's like the advancement and research I've been doing is I found out that technology's at such a rapid pace of advancement that we've never seen before, right? So like this digital renaissance that we're having is we're shifting like from one thing to like one huge thing to another. Like when the iPhone came out, or when the internet came out, that's what it's been compared to, right? So it's like whether all we're waiting for is like the adoption, people to start adopting these things, learning about it, and at the same time that technology is advancing to make things easier. People are still scared to hold wallets, to hold crypto on, right? And these things are becoming easier to access, easier to hold, easier to use. We're going through like a digital renaissance right now. And just like you mentioned, it's hard to grasp or comprehend at the rate things are advancing, and all the different advancements of technology. The blockchain is huge, right? And then also we got AI, right? And then so it's all these things combined. And then the currencies, right? Digital currencies is another thing, and all these things are all intertwined, in my opinion. So we're going through some very interesting times and possible shifts in big shifts in history, right? So Web 3.0, I don't think there's just so much momentum headed that way where I don't think that can be stopped, in my opinion.
It's great to have your perspective because like I said, we are going through a tough time, and I was having like those kind of thoughts. So every time I have those thoughts, I'm super grateful to be talking to people like you. And we hope to have you on again in the future to share more stories, to share more of the specimens that you collect over time. So really appreciate it.
Definitely. Cool. No, I appreciate you guys too for having me on. And I had a blast. And yeah, I hope to do it again soon in the future.
Yeah, Mr. 41. I also did want to say that for you, and well, to all our listeners, the fact that you've got all of this experience, you've done it, you've been successful in multiple ways that you could interpret the term successful, right? And the fact that you are actively engaging with the community, it's very refreshing to see someone in your position who's been able to, it may seem like you're pretty low key, but to the people who are really like elbow deep, so to speak, in VeVe and actively pursuing specific kinds of mints and things like that, the fact that you are around, I think, speaks volumes, just because your background, the fact that you are level-headed, your composure is really a pleasure to witness and to be able to engage with you on multiple platforms, on Twitter or here with this podcast. It means a lot for myself, for Will, and I think for the community as well. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm grateful to you guys in the community as well. That's one thing that I see is very strong with VeVe is the community. Whether sometimes it might feel like a dysfunctional family at moments. There's a lot of people that are making a lot of new friends, and that's what I see around the communities and other NFT projects where people are making friends and relationships with people around the world, right? And people that we've never would have been in contact with before if it wasn't for VeVe. So I think that's one of the strengths VeVe has is the community is very strong, whether we get along or not. There are a lot of people that on this app and that love VeVe, and whether might not be all the time, but it's what's one of the strengths, in my opinion. It's a very strong community, very large community, very, very large.
I would have to agree with you.
That is it, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have enjoyed the episode today. And if you have, remember that gentleman agreement. We will continue working until 1 a.m. just for you. But in return, we ask you to subscribe to the podcast so that you don't miss out on the actionable and valuable insights, everything VeVe and OMI related. Don't forget to give us a rating and tweet at us to let us know what you think about the podcast so that we can refine the content better just for you. Thank you so much. We hope to see you again next time. Peace.